Okay, we have a working Storm 32 brushless gimbal controller. It's hooked up to some very small gimbal motors here, and a small 3-axis gimbal with a Mobius camera on it. We have it hooked up and working with the Ollie W gimbal tool, and you can see that it's actually connected and working via USB. We're going to start a data log here. And we can see that when there's no battery hooked up and we're just running off a USB, we're actually getting good data. You can see that the IMU is okay. And when I move it around, we're definitely getting readings from the IMU. The problem here is that when we hook up a battery to the gimbal, and I'm going to do that here in just a second. All right, we have a gimbal now powered. It's fine as long as we're showing the data and the IMU doesn't have the motors running. Right now I have it set so that the motors are all turned off. You can see as I'm moving the gimbal with my hand here, there's no resistance at all. So if we stop data logging for a moment, and then we go turn on the motors, if we enable all motors, the motors definitely enable. But if we go to data and we start logging again, we see that the IMU goes into red status and will no longer take any readings and has runaway i2c errors. Now, there's been a lot of talk online about the cable and the routing and things like that. As you can see, I've got the sensor cable here routed completely away from any other source just for testing to see if I can get it to work. And this behavior is consistent, so it makes it impossible to act, and you can see the motors actually have a little resistance here now. It makes it literally impossible to get this gimbal controller working because the IMU just runs away with I2C errors, and there's no way of recovering once that starts, even if you power it with low power settings on the motor. I think this is either a issue with the gimbal controller itself or the i2c sensor at the bottom, but either way, it's definitely not working in any tangible form. I'm only using a 3S battery to power this. I've also tried a 2S battery with no avail, just to see if it was a voltage issue, but there's definitely a problem with this IMU and gimbal controller.